Okay, today here. Oh, first I want to welcome everybody back. Thanks for all the comments and the likes and new subscribers. Today, like I promised, I got a day behind. I should have made this video yesterday. I got to talking to Sam Moore, 138, on the telephone, and hell for knew that 2 hours or more was gone. My sister-in-law said, "How do you bullshit so long to somebody you don't know?" I said, "There's only two things can do that: guns and alcohol." But I said, "You can tell when it's alcohol because it always ends in a fight. When it's guns, they always hang up laughing." So, okay, we're going to get this made today. On these Webleys, this is the model, or the Mark 6. These guns have like, you got to be damn John Cameron Swayze or somebody to know everything about these guns. Now these two, most people when they think of these Webleys, they think of British Enfields. Where these two were actually made in Spain, and they were made, Enfield didn't start making them until 1923, I believe it was. So these are like the pre-Enfield ones. They're both matching numbers, but one of them's had a cylinder shaved to shoot the 45 auto. It's probably destroyed the value of it. And a tip, if you're looking to buy one of these, if you don't load your own 45 auto, you're going to blow it up. I've only dealt with, other than these two, three other of these guns in my life, and the reason was the barrel had a big dent in the side, on the right side, on two of them that I fixed, and one I seen at a gun shop, and they were all converted to the 45. Too much pressure. Looked like the lead, either that or they had a swab, which could be, because that happens. It actually happened to me in one of these guns. I'll tell you the story in a minute. I bought both of these guns back in the late 80s, early 90s, and didn't know anything about them. But they were 150 bucks a piece, and I got to keep half for selling them. So I just paid the man his 100, or I think I gave him 200 bucks and just kept them. But where we're going to start, I guess, this is a 1915 model. So that was before they were made by Enfield. If you look, these are a double action, top brake, sort of like a Smith & Wesson. Actually, I think Smith & Wesson copied them. I always say that one, Smith & Wesson. But anyway, okay, back to these guns. What they did, ammo got real scarce for these. Now this is a 1918, and this is in the original 455 caliber. And if you look right here, you see less of a gap. Where you look at the converted one, you see a wider gap. And if that still isn't enough proof, like if you're going to buy one of these and you want to know what it shoots, take your cylinder, roll it around until you see your serial number. I know it's on there, I've already looked at it. How did it go? Right there it is, and you can see it. Let's go to the other gun. What happens when they shave that cylinder to be a 45, like see them serial numbers there? If this gun was shaved to be a 45 auto, the top of those numbers would be missing. That's why we're having a hard time seeing them on this gun. The top of the numbers are missing. And then another thing on these guns you gotta know. If you look at this 1915, there's no markings right here. That means this gun was a military gun used in the service. And there's a few proof marks and that on it that also prove that. But if you look at this 1918, where the war was over, there's two arrows pointing at each other right there. So one, you got to check your gap, your serial number, and if them arrows are there or not, to know if you got a military gun, a civilian gun, whether it's a 455 or whether it's a 45 auto. And if it's a 45 auto, you got to load your own ammunition or you're going to end up with a big dent in the barrel right here. Like I say, I've changed two of them and I've seen one of the guns here. It's a wonder that this one that's converted don't have that dent. $19.15, if that wasn't converted, that would be a beautiful piece. Well, it is anyway, but. And like I say, these guns weren't made by Enfield or anybody else until 1923. So, my daughter just sent me a message here, I was trying to read it. Like I say, 1923, these didn't become an Enfield. I think they still were made in Spain, too. These were the sidearm for them until 1964, from like 1837 or something like that. This gun weighs almost 2.5 pounds. It's a big, heavy built gun. It's no little toy. And yeah, this is a converted one. And what they did, if you look at the rim difference, now this isn't the caliber for this gun. This is a 44 mag. But I wanted to show you the rims. You see how that one on the right don't have no rim. And you need the rim to make your headspace. So what they did, they shaved off the top of the cylinder right here. They cut it down. That's why your serial numbers are hard to read. And then they put it on this moon clip 45 auto. You could get these in half moons too that had 3 on each clip. And you just one of them didn't want to fit in there early. You just dropped the whole star down in there. And then it threw them all out in a group after you shot them. I was kind of scared. I don't like flicking them in and out the right way. I'd rather pull them out. But if you didn't load, if I shot these regular 45 autos in there, my possibility is I'd ruin this gun. When people had them dents in the side, they were still shooting. My buddy told me a story where and hey, AR America, if you watch it, that guy said looked like your twin brother. Him and his dad was out shooting one of these, converted to a 45 auto, and somehow they hit a pipeline, and some kind of gassy oil stuff was squirting out. He was just young. Him and his dad jumped in the car and took off. Left it squirting out. He never forgot that story. Every time we talked about that gun after I put a barrel on it for him, I heard that story. I must have heard that story 10 times before he passed. 1915. When I got this gun, it was a complete ball of rust. It had sat 5 years in a footlocker underwater, wrapped up in an oily rag, luckily. This come from these guns come from a army surplus store that was around my whole life up until 1980. The man died in 1980 that ran it, and they put everything in a footlocker in a basement. It was damp. This one must have been higher up in the pile. It looked a lot better. There was a few of them we stripped and sold for parts that were so bad. And he had 5-gallon buckets of Cosmo. He was a surplus store. Every hinge on every gate in our farmhouse, in our farm, had military tire tools for the pins that swung the gates. I mean, the guy at the old military store had everything. You looked up on the roof, there was 303 Britishes and Springfields and stuff. You know, $12 would buy you a gun back then when I was a kid. But that's where these originally come from. So actually this military cord and in the holster should be this one that's converted. This is a 1942 holster. This was what the military used. Let's see in here. 1943. They called these the hand cannon too, so. I have some brass somewhere for that 455. But they say you can make it out of Colt, 40 long Colt brass, trim it down. My old FFL buddy, World War II vet, give me one of those like quart coffee cans full of ammo for that. And I loaded it, and on the third round, it just fizzled. And luckily I had the sense to open up the gun and inspect it. Here it had the slug was stuck halfway up the barrel. And I brought them home and I pulled them all and tumbled the brass. Put them in a can with my brass somewhere. Don't know where the hell they're at. Seems like all I do anymore is look for things. But, like I say, that's a shame somebody cut that cylinder. I didn't go on Gunbroker to see what these guns were worth. Everything I kind of learned, I learned on them years ago, before they even had internet. Through them Guns of the Bible. No, through that Guns of the Bible I used to buy all the time. Hey, look now, I'm tired of hearing that Smith & Wesson 44 song. So now I'm going to lay a Smith & Wesson 44 out on the table all the time. It drives me crazy when they show some kind of little cap gun and sing that song, huh? But like I say, the main thing on these Webleys, watch your gap. Look for the arrows. You see there's nothing on that right here. You see two arrows pointing toward each other, you know it's not a military gun. Plus they put the year right on the bottom, every one. I don't know why the print's so funny, but I'll get the camera to get on that. It does say 1915 there, I believe. What a funky looking setup, isn't it? Like I say, it weighs a ton. Well, hey, I've bent your ear for 15 minutes. Like I say, thanks Sam for bullshitting on the phone last night. I had a good time, actually. Ain't too often when two people, one's twice the other one's age, can talk that long without knowing each other and have something to talk about, huh? And we're amazing we have so much in common. Gun world's like that. There's only two type of people in the gun world. Guys that want to have guns and know the history of them, and guys that want to know how much they're worth so they can make money when they sell them. I'm ashamed to say I associated with both of them to make a living, but kind of more partial to guys like Sam that wants to know the history and don't want to get rid of his guns, which I know a lot of you guys on here are. And hey, FV ordinance, I caught you live today. You was talking about being friends with new guys and new sites. And I know you posted on my site many times, me and you had conversations back and forth. And I made comments for 15 minutes after you said that, trying to get your attention, to get you to say John's Arsenal. You said my name, John, you answered my questions. You never did say John's Arsenal. I realized it wasn't saying John's Arsenal, it was saying my name on my reply. So hell, I know replies help you anyway, so I just kept replying. I started putting my John's Arsenal down there, figuring you'd say something. I couldn't get you to say my name. I tried like hell. I even threw in the story old Rodney Dangerfield movie, Back to School, when old Sam Kinison was over the desk yelling at the student, yelling at that student, to answer the question or say the name or something like that. I couldn't get you to say John's Arsenal. But hey, I know you're a good guy. I've talked to you on here. All right, I'm going to end it right there. Everybody have a good evening. We'll look at this Smith one more time. Model 29, 8 3/4 barrel. Kicks like a mule. Crazy looking gun, huh? I'm going to check the value up on them, see what they're up to. I don't know what the hell we're going to look at next. Oh, the dog did that. He bugs me every video, doesn't he? You don't like to hear me talk. He must think I'm bitching at him. Alright, man, okay. Alright, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Have a good evening. Look at my camera going down. On my new tripod, look. That's me going out, look, automatically. Over and out.